someone and it doesn't work out, I'm gonna let them know. Anna, why are you lying on national TV in 4K and then you leave? Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be reviewing Love is Blind, season 9, episode 3. So this episode starts out where Patrick is in the pods and he's basically ready to confess his feelings for Anna, right? And you see Patrick in the pods and then it shows where Anna is supposed to be and it's empty. And Patrick is saying, hello, hello, there's no response. So the producers eventually come on and it says that Anna has left the experiment and she did not say goodbye to Patrick, Blake, or any of her connections. She just decided to leave. I was personally very disappointed with this. I, first of all, don't understand how you can ghost a TV show. I think Anna is strange, especially for not at least saying bye to the people that she was talking to. I think that it's just a terrible thing to do. And this storyline was something that I think we were all invested in. Like, I wanted to know, is she going to go with Blake, the guy that she dates on the outside, or is she going to go for something new, which would be Patrick, right? So this was very, very disappointing. And in 2025, I don't really understand why people are still ghosting. Like, just say bye. It's okay, you know? So that really was like a disappointment. This was probably my favorite storyline this season so far. This season has not been the best, most interesting season in my opinion. So I was really invested in Anna, Patrick, and Blake and kind of figuring out who she would end up going with. So yeah, that was like a letdown. And I know it was a letdown for everybody else watching as well. So I really, really didn't expect that. I was very surprised. And this also brought me back to what I mentioned in episode 2, where I believe Blake asked Anna if she's ever ghosted someone. And I thought, ooh, what a great question. It isn't a question that I would even think to ask, but I was like, that's a great question. Isn't that a strange question to ask considering what happened in the following episode? You know, maybe Blake was picking up on something that Anna was giving flight risk, because I thought that was just so ironic. I don't know if it was producer foreshadowing what was going to happen, but why would he have literally asked her, have you ever ghosted someone? And Anna basically responded by saying, oh no, I've never done that. You know, if I'm talking to someone and it doesn't work out, I'm going to let them know. Anna, why are you lying on national TV in 4K and then you leave? People are so strange. It's one thing to do this in your personal life. It's another thing to do this on a TV show in 4K, knowing that the United States of America is watching you. It is very strange behavior. So yeah, that was a letdown. Okay, so we go back to the men's quarters and we see Mike talking to the guys about how he has an ex from a couple years ago who has a boyfriend now, but still visits him, and they go into the sauna together. I guess they strip down, go into the sauna together, and that they're just platonic friends. And I was like, what kind of story is this? Like, it's interesting because some of the girls in the women's quarters, the last episode, were commenting about Mike and saying that he seems like a playboy. And they were spot on. Like, Mike is not somebody that you would ever want to get engaged to, because clearly there's issues with boundaries there. I mean, I would never date someone that was still friends with an ex and you're going into the sauna together, but you're platonic. That is a joke. And Mike is 37 years old. So we kind of get a glimpse of who Mike really is in this story, in this encounter. And when he's telling the guys in the men's quarters, he's obviously laughing about it. Like, this is a joke. The guys are laughing too. But like, come on, like, that is not a good sign at all. But we all kind of knew, like, I was not a big fan of Mike. I think that he does give very like grown vibes. Like, he's very successful. But one thing people have to know is that having your shit together, like, being financially successful and all that doesn't make you have like good character. The 2 and 2 unfortunately do not go hand in hand. So yeah, that's like a character flaw for me. I think that, you know, Mike is not somebody you would want to get into a relationship with, let alone get engaged or marry. We can see that. Okay, so we then see Mike speaking to Megan, and he basically tells Megan that he still speaks to some of his exes. And I don't think Megan really like said much about that. I would have wanted to know more about that, because I don't think you should really still be in contact with your exes, but I know other people think differently about that. Like maybe it depends on the relationships that you have. Then Mike starts explaining how him and Megan would have the most nutritious children, the best children, the sexiest children. And I was like, sexiest children, like what kind of wording is that? He was getting too excited. Like Mike is a little strange. Like who describes children? Like what are you talking about? And I think what it is it goes to show you that Mike is very interested in like image. He wants things to appear a certain way. He wants like, you know, people to see him and see his family and think, oh my God, like he's into how things look and how they appear. And it's a level of superficiality that I don't like. And it's a little bit fake as well, because it's like, you just want things to look good on the outside, but what's really going on, you know? So I don't like that at all. I just think he's too much. So we then see Megan speaking to Jordan, and, you know, Jordan is the guy that drives the Kia Forte, has a different aesthetic than Megan. And he says prior to having his son, he didn't want to have children. So hearing that, right, if I was Megan, I would realize that he doesn't really want to have more kids, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if a guy ever told me that he decided to get snipped, like get a vasectomy or anything like that is an indicator that they probably don't want more children. And one thing I have to say is people think that getting a vasectomy is similar to being on birth control. They're not the same. Like birth control should not limit or lower, your ability to have children. If I'm correct, a vasectomy lowers a man's chances of having children. I think it goes to like 60 or 70%. So it's not necessarily a form of birth control. And you have to understand that when a guy decides to do something like go and get a vasectomy, odds are he does not want more kids. I know that the procedure is reversible, right? They always say that. But I personally wouldn't, like if I wanted children, right? I wouldn't want to date a guy that got a vasectomy, because I think that he just doesn't want more children. He does not. Like in my opinion, that's a pretty clear sign. But Megan isn't seeing it that way. I guess she's still holding off for hope. She's still thinking this guy will just reverse the thing and we'll be good. So that's just my take on it. Yeah, so Megan goes into this conversation with Jordan with the intentions of friend zoning him. That's not what happened at all. And I don't really understand this connection, because I think Megan should be aware at this point that Jordan is someone that like they're not compatible. I get that like she's maybe trying to go for someone that she doesn't go for on the outside, which would be like Mike, right? Mike is like the guy she goes for on the outside, but then Jordan is someone that she wouldn't. But like, you don't want to go from frying pan to fire, right? And that's like a saying that I say, like, you don't want to, like, meaning like, you don't want to go from one extreme to another extreme that's not good for you. I think that Jordan is still too different from Megan, and they would not be compatible. I think that if it worked out, like if they do decide to get engaged, he would probably belittle him and not treat him the way, like, I don't know. I just don't see it working at all. So then Megan goes to speak to Blake. So Blake is Megan's third connection. And she says, you know, hello. And we're getting the same repeat now of what happened to Patrick, where Blake is not on the other side of the pod. There's no response. We then realize, the producers say that Blake left the experiment. And once again, he didn't say goodbye to anybody. So what's happening in Denver, Colorado, guys? People just ghost people in Colorado? Like, this is so strange. Why would he have done the same thing? And I think that my take on it is he's probably going to run after Anna, because I think Blake realized that at the end of the day, that was his only real connection, like his strongest. And I commend that, right? I'm like, at least he's being true to himself. He's not trying to then just continue to continue. But at the same time, like, I'm just kind of like, you could have said bye, but you know, him and Anna deserve each other because they just be ghosting together. So well, yeah, that's that. So now Megan is down to two connections. It's between Mike and Jordan, essentially. So we see Joe and Madison have their reveal, okay? And guys, I could not tell if he was happy. And if I were to put money on it, I don't think he was. I was like, I think at one point he said that she wasn't what he expected. And they were like kissing, they were kissing each other, and he just kind of steps back. But the way he pulled away from the kiss, it was like, oh, get away from me. Like I didn't take it in a good light, you know? I almost felt like maybe he was struggling to pair up the voice and her appearance, but I just didn't think that he had a very good reaction at all. I think that she seemed happy with him, but I couldn't quite tell if he was happy the other way around. So I don't know about that. I thought that they would be a good match, but I'm skeptical now after this reveal. So we will see. We shall see. Annie and Brendan are now speaking, okay? And she's very reassuring to him. I feel like Annie kind of wears her heart on her sleeve. Like she's given Brendan like a lot to work with, if that makes sense. And I constantly see her reassuring him, but I don't see him reciprocating, right? So I don't know about Brendan, and I'm still trying to figure out why this guy is Annie's number one. Because to me, Brendan isn't given much of anything. You know, I don't really know what Annie sees in this guy because I don't see it. Maybe you guys see it, but I don't see it. Like, I think he just kind of sits there and like, I don't see it at all. So we then see Nick and Anna talking, and he is speaking about the future together, providing a lot more reassurance. And he's speaking about things like, we're going to be going on our road trips, you know, our house. Like he's using words and phrases that include both of them, that create a future, stuff that Brendan is not doing, right? Not that I like Nick, but Nick is definitely providing more reassurance than Brendan is, okay? So yeah, so that's happening. And, you know, and then Nick and Kate have a date, and Nick confesses in this date that he loves Kate. Kate doesn't say it back. She says that she's falling for him, but you can tell that she's not really ready to say, I love you yet. And that's okay. You know, she sees it as a big deal. She wants to make sure that when she says it, she really means it. So that's that. We then go to Edmund and Calabria. So in this episode, or in this, when he's talking to Calabria, Edmund is wearing this like floral shirt with flowers on it. And you see Calabria with her hair done, looking like a baddie, edges laid, wearing a nice dress, like just giving baddie. And they have such different aesthetics. Like it's just so jarring to see. And you don't really pair the two together. And I know that that's such a superficial thing to say, right? Because Love is Blind is supposed to take that out of the equation. But I just don't really see this working out. I do not. So yeah, that's that. I just don't. Calabria in this scene reads a note about her feelings. It was beautiful, very well thought out, came from the heart. And I was like, wow, right? And Edmund proposes. Guys, I don't really know what else to say. We shall see, okay? Because I object. I'm just not feeling this at all. But let's move on. Patrick is speaking to Mike about Anna, okay? Going home and Casey being his number two, okay? So Anna was Patrick's number one. We all know this, right? And now he's like, okay, Casey was my backup, you know. And I honestly think Patrick is trying to force it. Like he doesn't have to force it. This is not a show where you should be forcing things. We all know that Casey was not someone that he was really feeling like that. Anna was the one that he really had those sparks flying with, right? And I almost feel like he's acting out of desperation. Like he's like, I'm not going to leave this experiment without being engaged. And we all know that desperate times call for desperate measures. And when you're acting out of desperation, it oftentimes leads you to places you do not want to be, people you should not be with, okay? So yeah, now Patrick is like, well, I have to just focus on Casey. So we see Patrick is like reassuring Casey in how he feels about her. To me, I don't feel it between them, but you know, this is Patrick's last option, right? And he's like, I got to make something shake. I got to make something happen because Anna left. So yeah, Patrick basically also lies and says that he cut off the connection with the other girl or whatever. That's not true. She left. Casey's your backup. But obviously Casey wouldn't want to hear that, right? So I guess he's got to lie, which is fine. I'm like, okay. So then we go to Jordan and Megan. Jordan mentions to the guys in the boys' quarters, okay? We see Jordan talking to the guys in the men's quarters, and he basically says that he can't financially support someone else, okay? And when I see this scene, like, it just makes me shake my head, because I don't think people realize that in this day and age, men are also looking for financial support, right? If Jordan was a woman, right, and he was saying this about a man, right, and saying, oh, she was saying, I can't financially support someone else, or like, I can't even financially support myself, and because of that, she's looking for a man that can support her. What would we call this woman? We call her a gold digger. We'd say that she's just dating, you know, to use him for his money. So what's Jordan doing, guys? Because in this day and age, like, I feel like there's too many men that are also looking for that support. And that's something that people don't talk about enough. I feel like this narrative is only really used on women, and women are always trying to canoodle and like try and find ways to find men that they can leech onto if they can't really, you know, make it on their own. Some men are doing the same thing too. Okay, so just keep that in mind, all right? And this scene just proves to me that I don't know if Jordan is really that into Megan. I think that he clearly has ulterior motives and is thinking, oh, well, you know, I have my kid, I can't support anybody else, I'm already financially kind of strong, this girl is bougie, she's clearly doing well, you know, she could support me, support us, maybe him and his kid at this point. Okay, so then we go to Mike and Megan, and she tells Mike that he reminds her of her exes, okay? And you can tell that when she's saying this, that's not a good thing for her, right? She probably came into the show trying to get away from the guys that are like her exes, which is fair, right? So between Mike and Jordan, the two connections that Megan has, sometimes in life, you need to just choose the better choice is to have no choices. Because to me, Jordan and Mike are two extremes, but it doesn't mean that one or the other is good for Megan, right? I think she's at this point where these are her only options. She's trying to make something work, but Megan needs to look at possibly trying to find somebody in the middle of these two. I don't think that either of them will be good for her, and I do think she's leaning more towards Jordan at this point, so we'll see, but I'm like, So this episode concludes with them showing a teaser of Ed and Calabria's reveal, okay? So that's how that episode ends. So yeah, I'm gonna be reviewing episode 4 next. Please tell me your opinions on this. I would love to hear what you guys think, specifically about like the whole thing with Patrick, Blake, and Anna just ghosting. I would love to know. Like, comment, and subscribe at the bell. I have videos that come out every week. Thank you guys for watching. See you.
Why you always in the mood? I'm acting brand new. I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but try to play it cool.